Yo, what's happening everybody? This is King GBL and welcome back to another Pokemon Go video. Guys, today I've got a line featuring Galarian Moltres, which is going to be a ton of fun. Before we do get into the gameplay, I want to say a big thank you to everybody who supported the video yesterday. That video done exceptionally well. This is a brand new channel, so big shout out to everybody who's came over from my Call of Duty channel, and big shout out to everybody who's brand new to the channel as well. I've said channel about 17 times this video, but thank you everybody, I really do appreciate it. If you guys have any feedback for me, just drop it in the comments down below. And of course, like I said in the video yesterday, I'm kind of a newer player to Go Battle League. I've only really been playing this for maybe 2 or 3 seasons and just kind of trying to build up my account. So if you guys have any sort of advice for me, if I'm making some wrong plays and stuff like that, be sure to get them down in the comments down below. And of course, we'll all try to improve at this together because it can be a little bit tough at times. But Galarian Moltres, definitely a ton of fun to use. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys here and say, like, I had a pretty much even elo split with it. I was kind of messing around after yesterday's video. I was using like Togedemaru. I was trying to hunt Noctiles, but of course I started getting absolutely walled by fighters, which is just how the Go Battle League goes sometimes. But yeah, we decided to go for kind of a similar line to yesterday. We went with Medicham instead of Swampert, and we went for Double Flyer being Noctile, and of course Galarian Moltres. Now this is quite funny, so we're coming into the Trevenant here, and we're letting these seed bombs go right here, and the Trevenant, he's probably thinking, yes, he actually let the seed bomb go, I can maybe farm this down. In comes Galarian Moltres, and he's like, yep, that's all I want to see. The Galarian Moltres was just a little bit too much for him, and that's a good game well played. Had an absolute ton of fun with Galarian Moltres. You're going to see some Brave Birds, just like yesterday's video as well. And yeah man, I think, to be honest with you guys, like Galarian Moltres, it is quite a good Pokemon, but it's not quite at the level as something like an Altaria, a Pidgeot, and there's definitely some better flyers in the meta. So if you do get a Galarian Moltres, you know, it's pretty fun to use. You actually get quite a lot of swap outs. If you get a Noctile, the Noctile sometimes will swap out against the Galarian Moltres. But anyway guys, hopping into this next battle, we've got a Medicham into a Stunfisk. Really good lead here. Definitely where you want to see Stunfisk in this team, and he comes in with the Sableye. And let's see what we can do here. We're going to build up to the Brave Bird. He gets his Foul Play off first, which of course is resisted. I feel like a lot of people don't really realize until after they throw the move that Galarian Moltres is a Dark type. We go for this, and he shields it. We go for the Ancient Power. We go for a second Ancient Power on the CMP. Sableye wins pretty much CMP against everything in this league. And we're going to go for our second Ancient Power. Now, is he going to shield it? He actually lets it go. So we should be able to take switch advantage here. And once again, on the CMP tie, he throws the Foul Play. We decide to let this go. We can just about survive it. We get off the Ancient Power, and we should be able to take switch advantage here. Now, thinking about this, watching it back, I probably could have just farmed the Sableye down, because I do resist the Shadow Claws, and in comes the Galarian Stunfisk. Now, I didn't quite reach the Brave Bird. If I had have just farmed down the Sableye, I could have Brave Bird this, and that would have made a world of difference in this matchup. I do tank the Earthquake happily enough, store an Ice Punch. My plan here is basically Sky Attack each other, and then come back in and Ice Punch at the end, hopefully getting shield advantage for the Medicham matchup. Here comes the Sky Attack once again. We're just going to trade Sky Attacks here. The other Noctile is getting quite low. I know I can survive another Sky Attack, so we're happy enough to let this go for one of our own, and we'll see if he decides to shield here. The opponent does shield here, realizing that we have a Medicham in the back. We just about miss out on that, and of course, as I said, we snipe with this. So we're in a pretty precarious position here. We're on about 30% health coming into the Stunfisk. Now, of course, I can farm up a little bit and let him throw his first Rock Slide. This is where counting is extremely important. If I had have counted a little bit better, I definitely could have won this match. Instead of throwing that Psychic straight away, I could have got an extra counter in by going for the CMP tie on the Rock Slide. So if I did count that a little bit better, I definitely could have won that matchup. Or obviously build up to the Brave Bird by farming down the Sableye. That was my win condition that match. I think it's always important, instead of trying to blame the algorithm, which I do believe there is one by the way, but instead of just blaming the algorithm, I think I had about 3 win conditions that match that I missed out on. I could have shielded the Earthquake, I could have farmed down the Sableye, and I could have just even thrown the Ancient Power against the Galarian Stunfisk, and that would have got me the win. Now coming into this next matchup here, we lead into a Venusaur. I swap out to Moltres, he swaps out to the Bastiodon, and what I decided to do here was go for the Ancient Power, go for the boost, and see how much the Brave Bird would do, which obviously you guys seen would do pretty much nothing. In this scenario, that's the wrong play, because you want him to farm you down as quickly as possible. There's no way of winning that matchup whatsoever. So if you just Brave Bird straight away, the Bastiodon will get less farm, and you'll obviously have more health left on your Medicham. So I think next time I go into that sort of matchup, I'll just go for the Brave Bird. But coming in here, now I actually shield this up because I feel like a Sludge Bomb is going to do like 60-70% damage, even on a Noctile with a Shadow Venusaur. So you kind of do have to shield that. He does let it go, of course, because he's got a Bastiodon in the back. And we go for the Shadow Ball here. It's not looking good. I was pretty disgusted by this team here. Obviously, I thought with the Venusaur lead, we were in a good spot. But Bastiodon is just such a hard opponent to overcome here. I go for the Sky Attack because I was trying to get the swap out, but he does throw in time, obviously leaving us in a pretty tough position. I was trying to kind of run down the clock with that, and he comes in with a Stunfisk. This guy's running Venusaur, Stunfisk, and Bastiodon. He literally does not want to see any flyers. He's absolutely sick of Noctile. If you see a team like this, they've been getting destroyed by Noctile. That's basically what's happened. The team that I run yesterday, it would be exactly countered by this. The Swampert double flyer. Venusaur wins the lead. You swap out to a flyer, you get destroyed. Come back in with a Swampert, get destroyed. I literally might have beat this guy yesterday because this team is an exact counter to that team. Running double flyers can be a lot of fun. Of course, if you get countered, you get absolutely destroyed by Bastiodons. So maybe even Swampert would be a better option because it's got charge moves which can put in a lot more work against the steel types. But coming into this matchup, we get a Registeel lead, very, very good lead. And we actually decide to stay in here, throw an Ice Punch, go into our Noctile. And with Swampert, it'll take 3 Hydro Cannons to knock out Noctile. So we're happy enough to take the first one here. We're going to farm up a little bit, over farm, take a Noller Hydro Cannon, and try to get as much farm on this as possible. He actually CMP ties us. That was a little bit too greedy by me. He does go for the CMP tie. Probably should have thrown that a little bit sooner. Unfortunately forced to shield up to take switch advantage. And he comes back in with the Reggie. Now this is actually quite an interesting matchup. With all the steel types, Reggie and Galarian Stunfisk are probably the better ones. If you come up against a Bastiodon, like these Shadow Balls tickle the Bastiodon, but Shadow Balls actually do quite hurt. So the Registeel is happy to throw some energy here. He doesn't want to get too low, and of course, we'll come back in with Medi, and we come in with Galarian Moltres. What is he going to do here? He's deciding to stay in. I don't have to shield anything here at the moment. He goes for the Shadow Ball, which actually does quite a lot of damage on that. If that was a Noctile, of course, you would not be receiving a lot of damage, even with the Dark type resistance, and we get the boost. We actually get the boost. Now, am I going to shield here? I do decide to go for the shield. What I want to see here is how much damage can I do to Registeel with a Brave Bird. Literally, this is not the right play, but I just had to see for myself what it would do. Of course, I don't even get it off anyway. He goes for the Focus Blast, and we come back in with Medicham. We can just farm all the way down here. He realizes that the writing is on the wall. It is a good game, well played, and the opponent top lefts. Definitely a little bit of rock, paper, scissors there. We managed to get the win, and we're on to the next one. So we didn't actually lose all of our matches. We didn't find Bastiodons and Stunfisks all the time. You will always run up against steel types in this meta because flyers are so prevalent with the wing attack update. And we come into a Lantern, which is a water gun Lantern, which is not too bad for us. Lantern is definitely a core breaker, so we're going to stay in here. Pretty much your Medicham in this lineup is going to be used to basically deal with anything that counters the flyers. If you come up against a steel type, you stay in. If you come up against a Lantern, you stay in. You basically want to try and get rid of these, and at this point we've got this pretty low. I'm assuming that this is their main counter, and we actually come in with Galarian Moltres to try and get a little bit of farm. He's running Water Gun. We know this is only going to be a Surf, so we can tank this, and we're going to build up to the Brave Bird. And in comes Sableye. We decide to go for the Ancient Power. The threat of the Brave Bird is just so high, and we actually go for another one before he gets a move off. Is the Sableye going to let this go? Good night. Good night. And back in comes the Trevenant. Oh, Trevenants just are not having a great time. I wonder if I could have got off the Brave Bird right here, but he might think it's the Brave Bird. I think actually he knocked me out with that Shadow Claw, so it was a good decision throwing the Ancient Power. He can throw absolutely anything at us here. Unless he's running, yeah, he just decides to top left. Unless he's running Foul Play, which is pretty uncommon. We can pretty much just tank absolutely everything from Trevenant. So a nice little Brave Bird to win that match pretty much. And we're going into the next one here. Medicham versus Medicham. We just go straight into a flyer, but we've got 2 flyers. If he counters us with a Stunfisk, I think you actually should be swapping into Noctile here. I believe in this, like I was swapping into Pidgeot yesterday, but if you come up against a Medicham, if you get a mirror match in this line, or if you get something that's, you know, more favorable for one of your flyers, I would probably swap into Noctile, because with shields down, that's where Galarian Moltres really shines. You can get off those Brave Birds right at the end of the match. And of course, we're just going to go for the farm down here. I actually don't want to eat an Earthquake, so I throw the Ice Punch. And he shields it. And I catch the Earthquake. I catch the Earthquake. This is where counting moves is so important, folks. As you've seen earlier on, counting, it really makes a massive difference. I could have won a matchup earlier, and catching that Earthquake on Noctowl is pretty big. We draw out this Bastiodon right here. If we had to let that Earthquake go through on the midi, or shielded it up on the midi, that could have been a lot worse for us. And we have yet another team running this stupid double steel line, which it really does disgust me, honestly. I maybe should have shielded that up because, well, I guess, you know, the Earthquake is a bigger threat. He comes back in with the Stunfisk, and in comes the midi. We're going to go for the Psychic right here. Obviously, he's going to get the last shield, and he manages to reach a move. I shield up, I want to go for another Psychic here, throws the Ice Punch, and yeah, we're just going to keep throwing these Psychics. Gets him down to, we get the defense fall as well. He has to throw here, because obviously an Ice Punch would take out at this range. Goes for the Ice Punch, I throw one back in return, and that is a good game. So you can actually overcome them if you get the right alignment on these teams. That just goes to show you that you can overcome those double steel lines. I was so happy to win this match because I was just absolutely disgusted by how many of these double steel teams I was finding. Very good games, well played. Coming into this next match, we get a Medicham into a Whiscash. Of course, Whiscash does not want to see my Ice Punch, so we get straight out of here. If you get an Azumarill swap, I'd recommend throwing your Psychic and dipping out, just for a little bit more of a comfortable matchup. And we're going to obviously swap out here. I probably should not swap out into this, because Play Rough is going to do a lot, Ice Beam's going to do a lot. I do go for the Ancient Power right here. I don't think the Azumarill should be shielding here. Of course he doesn't, and we're going to go for the Farm Down. We're going to shield up, farm up to the Brave Bird, and just try to Brave Bird whatever comes back in here. This is a tough farm down, we just about get to the Brave Bird and farm him down, and in comes the Swampert. Swampert does not want to see a Brave Bird. Alright, sorry, not Swampert, Whiscash. I just seen the typing at the top and just assumed Swampert. He eats that. It's gonna hurt a lot. it hurts an awful lot, so he Mud Bombs us out of there. We're gonna come back in with this, and we do see a Talonflame. I see a lot of people saying, like, you never see Talonflame anymore. For those of you who don't know, I actually live in Japan, and I see Talonflames quite often in this region. Maybe in Europe, I've heard like EU and NA players run a lot of different lines and stuff like that. In Japan, you actually still do see quite a lot of Talonflames, which can be a little bit of a problem for a lot of teams. We're not going to shield this one, obviously, we have no shields left. I'm not really paying attention, I'm too busy talking about Japan. I'm not really paying attention to the gameplay here. But he comes back in with the Whiscash, we can just farm all the way down here. What I was actually trying to do there, I seen that he was on like 1 HP. You can actually knock out opponents with 1 HP through their shield. And we get a nice little set there, 4-1 set. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and that's a little bit of Galarian Moltres action for you, but I think I definitely misplayed a lot, and you know, hopefully you guys can see my mistakes and maybe learn from my mistakes. I think it's always a good idea to learn from your own mistakes, and if you're watching somebody else learn from their mistakes as well. You should probably go for the sweep with the Galarian Moltres, or if you're running any kind of like double bird, one with Brave Bird, one Noctowl, you probably should try to save the Brave Bird for whenever shields are down and stuff like that, because as you guys know, Noctowl can do quite well against the steel types as compared to Galarian Moltres. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy, please drop a like, drop a sub. Thank you everybody for all the support on yesterday's video. I'll leave a little link to that at the end of this one. And apart from that, guys, thank you very much. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys next time.